I'll slide. I'm fully capable. Thank you. It is fine. Actually, I'm gonna move even more because Ashley, my counterpart's been texting, so we'll just sit together. Thank you. That's why I made you move. You're good.
You guys couldn't match.
There you go. Thanks, Bill.
Oh, the other one wasn't there?
No, we've already talked about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said I look forward to getting my attorney's fees on the first.
Okay. So I'm just the service processor on that one. Did you get that on camera?
Yes.
Jimmy, did you stay?
Thank you.
Always very patient. So I just drop it out there and wait.
Did you get
It's so slow, I'm sorry.
Recording in progress.
Okay, 1:30. Board of County Commissioners are holding a regular meeting on October 4th, 2022 with County Commissioners Alvin Schaaf, Ronnie Maez, and Wayne Bryant, County Manager Jeff Whitman, County Attorney Todd Weaver, and Deputy Clerk and Recorder Avery Wiedemeyer present. Calls meeting to order. 1:30. If you have not done so, please silence your cell phones. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any disclosures or conflicts of interest?
Yes, sir, I have one under the liquor board.
Okay.
I'll recuse myself from that item for the Pagosa Springs Rotary, I'm the Pagosa Springs Rotary president.
Okay. Great.
And yes, I misspoke this morning, we will be having an executive session.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, now comes public comments. When called upon, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address the board. Looks like Wayne Bryant, first up.
Yep.
On the hand count.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, Wayne Bryant, 235 Riverview Court, here in Pagosa Springs. Yeah, as much as I've been getting around and talking with people all throughout the county, there is great concern over the current process that the ballots are gonna be counted on. They're not feeling very comfortable with the Dominion machines. There's been a lot of concern. There's been some studies that have been done where there was 11% overcount in Archuleta County. That's 800 voters more than what actually registered in Archuleta County. I know when I was walking for the mayor, for one of the mayor candidates, we found some of the people that actually were living up on Cemetery Hill. You know, so that the lists are very old, they're outdated. I know there's lawsuits going on at the state, but you know, if that many people are feeling that their vote isn't being counted, that it's being manipulated or changed or whatever, I think it's up to the BoCC to maybe address those concerns and alleviate those concerns. So again, I encourage you that it might be a good thing to do is do a hand count, so that way people will feel more comfortable when they do mail in their ballots, because right now they think the whole mail-in ballot is fraud, it's fraudulent. Thank you. Do I stay again?
Now go ahead and stay and we'll move on to
Okay.
First Amendment and top regrets.
Okay, I had some banners made up that were the same size as some other candidates' banners. And the banners that I put up are all on private property. I have permission from all of them to put them up. They are not obstructing any views, and they were cited. 2 of them were cited. One, I was at fault for that, for putting a stake about 10 inches past the fence, because I couldn't get the thing in past a rock. So there was a citation there. I went ahead and I went down and I moved it back 2 feet. And so there was still a citation issue. And the owners of these properties are very upset that the county is trying to overstep their bounds by telling people what they can and cannot do in their property. This is a First Amendment violation, and it's a private property issue. And there's a lot of people that are upset about that, and I would hope that maybe the BoCC could address those concerns, because people are thinking that the county is trying to usurp their private property and their First Amendment. And that is a very big concern. And I do not believe the county has the authority to tell people what they can and cannot do on their property, as long as it doesn't impede somebody driving and can't see around the corner. As long as their setbacks are fine. So all these are on private property, and this needs to be addressed very seriously. So I'm a little bit concerned by that the county is trying to overstep its authority by citing people's private property rights and then charging them a fine per day for it. That could end up to be a very nasty battle, and people are going to stand up and say, no, you can't do that. So I'm up here letting you know now that there's a lot of concerned people. I have 14 of them out there, and I'm the only one that's being targeted at this point, because as far as I've talked with the candidates, they've never had to, ask for a permit or never had to pay for a sign, but yet I am. So, I believe that's targeting, gentlemen. So, next one more.
Okay, the last one is your signs being removed.
Yep, I put some signs up and like at the post office and over, everybody else is putting their signs up, and their signs are within those easements. And, I got targeted for that, and my signs were removed. And, I got a call from a real estate lady yesterday from Exit Realty, and she was very cordial, very kind. She had gone and removed my signs from the post office and up and down the 160. And I went and picked them up yesterday. She didn't throw them away, so I thank her very much for doing that. But again, I'm concerned that where other candidates have their signs, mine aren't allowed to be there with them. And even though those properties may be for sale, that has historically been places where people have put their campaign signs. And I stayed outside the easements, and I did everything properly. They're the right size and the whole thing. So I'm a little bit concerned that my signs are being removed, but nobody else's. And so today I drive in, and some of my signs, lo and behold, are back up in those spots again. I didn't do it. I don't know who did. Did the people that picked up my signs the other day turn around, and are they doing this nefariously to make me look bad and to get me in trouble? I do not know. But I or the three people that are helping put up these signs did not put those signs back up. So there are some signs back up that I did not do, and I want to let you know that right now too, that somebody's playing games, and I know how politics is in this town. Lord knows I've lived here long enough to know the game's played. And I just feel that if we're going to have an even playing ground, it should be even for everybody. Why should some people's signs stay up and others not? And being removed illegally. I mean, this is a First Amendment protection. And to have mine being removed, I'm glad that some of them were given back nicely, but now some of them are being put back up without my permission. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. So I'm letting you know right here on the record that this is going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Bill Hudson.
Thank you. Bill Hudson, 446 Loma Street. As you know, because you're asking for a tax increase, the county has to send out a Tabor notice. And the Tabor notice allows citizens to submit comments for and against the measure. And there's a law, a Colorado law, that specifies how those comments are submitted. The law is 17901. Comments must be submitted by a registered voter. They must be signed, and they must include the address of the registered voter. And then those comments are to be summarized by your designated election official and are to be included in the Tabor notice. The Tabor notice was submitted, and I did a core request for all of the comment submissions that met Colorado Law 17901. And I got an answer. It was one. It was mine, and it was against ballot issue 1A. But when your designated election official submitted the notice to the county clerk, there were 4 arguments for included in that notice that were never submitted according to 17901. And there were arguments in the against category that were never submitted according to 17901. And the 399 word argument that I included in a comment section that's allowed 500 words, that the arguments against were edited down to 111 words. Almost all of my arguments were deleted by your designated election official in the submission to the county clerk. I had 399 words, and only about 50 of them made it into the notice. And I would love to sit down with one of you or each of you and try to figure out how we address this, which appears to be an election violation. It appears to be election fraud. And I would really like to meet with you and see if there's a settlement that we can come to that will clarify this and make this a fair election instead of a deceitful election.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, more public comments? Move on to proclamations. First up is National 4-H Week.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Becky Jacobson, Archuleta County 4-H Coordinator. This afternoon I have with me Macy Jacobson, who's currently our District 5 State Officer for our district, which is Archuleta County, La Plata County, Montezuma County, San Juan, and Dolores counties as well. And we would like to read our National 4-H Proclamation. Okay. So, whereas 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, having supported almost 6 million youth across the country thus far, and whereas 4-H has helped 150 plus youth annually in Archuleta County to become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders, and whereas 4-H is delivered by Cooperative Extension, a community of more than 100 public universities across the nation that provides experiences where young people learn by doing hands-on projects in areas including health, science, agriculture, and citizenship, and whereas National 4-H Week showcases the incredible experiences that 4-H offers young people and highlights the remarkable 4-H youth in Archuleta County who work each day to make a positive impact on those around them. And whereas 4-H's network of 600,000 volunteers and 3,500 professionals provides caring and supportive mentoring to all 4-Hers, helping them to grow into true leaders, interpreters, and visionaries, or entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Archuleta County do hereby proclaim October 2nd through the 8th of 2022 as National 4-H throughout Archuleta County, and encourage all of our citizens to recognize 4-H for their significant impact it has made and continues to make by empowering youth with the skills they need to lead for a lifetime.
Thank you. I think everybody knows how I feel about 4-H. I didn't participate in 4-H growing up, but I was in FFA, and it's a lot similar. But our 4-H, my kids all participated in it, and it has really helped them go on to their college career and just be better adults.
I agree with them. It's shown a lot of improvement in our youth in Archuleta County, and it's given them a good foundation to move ahead in life.
I'm just proud to have 4-H here in our community. Being a 4-H family, raising my kids, I know what the value is, and I know the leadership skills that it teaches them, the financial responsibility, and taking care of another being other than themselves, and it's invaluable. And I appreciate all of your work, all of your effort, and the way that you represent Archuleta County. Thank you.
I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that this proclamation announcing the week of October 2nd through the 8th, 2022 as National 4-H Week in Archuleta County.
Colorado. Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Well,
Take care.
Awareness Month.
Hello, Art Cry.
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Okay, so this is proclamation for proclaiming October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Archuleta County. In Archuleta County, in recognition of the important work done by survivors, domestic violence programs, and victim service providers, I urge all citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs sponsored by Rise Above Violence to work towards the elimination of intimate partner violence. Whereas Rise Above Violence serves on average 400 victims and that's a year, and answers an average of 200 crisis calls every year. And whereas everyone knows someone, with 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men being victims of domestic violence in their lifetime. And whereas 1 isn't just a number, it's someone. It's our sister, brother, our neighbor, coworker, or friend. Domestic violence affects all of us, and all of us must be a part of the solution. And whereas in just 1 day across the United States and its territories, nearly 75,000 victims of domestic violence sought services from domestic violence programs and shelters. That is nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. This equates to more than 10 million women and men in the United States. And whereas children that grow up in homes with domestic violence are believed to be abused and neglected at a higher rate than the national average. And whereas Archuleta County joins with others across Colorado and the nation in supporting victims of domestic violence, as well as local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, and other agencies nationwide who are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and sending a clear message to abusers that domestic violence is not tolerated in Archuleta County. And therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Archuleta County, proclaim the month of October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Archuleta County, Colorado. We wish for our citizens and visitors to know there's always help available through Rise Above Violence, and we will show our support throughout this month and the entire year.
Thank you. I know we say this or I say something every year, and that's the other two as well, but being a commissioner can be difficult. And law enforcement had to deal with, of course, you know what you had to deal with, but you and your staff just do a lot and deal with a lot. You know, stuff you have to see. The work you do, we really appreciate. So thank you.
I've always said that I appreciate everything you do, Carl. The one thing is that, you know, if there is anybody out there that sees or is aware of anyone doing or acting in domestic violence, please report it. Don't wait. You'll be helping somebody out, doing them a favor. Thank you.
I just hope the day comes that when your services are no longer needed.
Amen.
But hope is not a plan, and I know that you have a plan. So thank you for what you're doing for our community. I can tell you just in the time I've been here, I believe things have gotten better for our victims in the way of service. The numbers aren't getting fewer, they're getting more. They're increasing, unfortunately, but how they're treated and the timeliness that they're being treated well, thanks to you and your group, is nothing short of miraculous. So thank you.
I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to proclaim the month of October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Archuleta County as presented.
Second. A motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Okay.
Actually.
Yes, thank you very much.
recess the regular meeting, to read the Board of Adjustment, 151. Circular Board of Adjustment consent.
Gentlemen, up for today on the consent agenda by the BoCC Board of Adjustment. Item A, the consideration and approval of the Board of Adjustments Resolution 2022-1 to finalize approval of setback variance on lot 145 in Aspen Springs subdivision number 5, owned by John Downey. Item B, the consideration and approval of Board of Adjustments Resolution 2022-2 to finalize approval of setback variance on lot 57X in Rio Blanco Cabinet Sites subdivision number 1, owned by Greg Moss.
Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Board of Adjustment consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Alright, so we're gonna adjourn the Board of Adjustments at 152, review the land use here. Flowers. Part of that, Ruth?
Yep.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Today, we have the final plat review for the Jose and Balthazar Gallegos minor subdivision at 639 County Road 975. They're taking a subdivision for their 27.8 acre parcel into two parcels of 6.9 acres and one of 13.9. And the purpose is to facilitate transfer to their children and grandchildren while they can still control that action. The project has been reviewed, we did a sketch plan review, gave some comments back. During that review, I missed one comment from the San Juan Basin locality. They had asked to have the septic systems depicted on the map so that they could determine if the new property lines were going to violate those in any way, and if so, that we would be able to seek easements just to make sure all that's properly addressed. I've added that as a condition to this one, so before we do the Mylar, we'll make sure that that's added to the map. So there's that. This is zoned ag ranching because it's in this zone, typically is. The new parcels being smaller in size and more appropriately would be zoned ag estates. So what I'm going to do is, I think what I'm going to do as these come through is we're going to come in once a quarter and propose an update to the zoning map based on all the replanting that has been done in the prior quarter if necessary. So I'm going to do something in October to cover this one, and I think maybe one other one that we've done this year. And then we'll start doing that as once a quarter I'll come in and we'll talk about zoning maps if needed. In this case, the land use regulation or the community plan shows this is a very low density residential, which is seen as 35 acre parcels. So if we're going to go below that, what we would be looking for to comply with the regulations would be requesting that they cluster any new development. So any new houses that are built, we would ask them to cluster, so to not spread them out, so that we're not violating and breaking up the open space and the agricultural land. It's something that there really isn't a mechanism other than if we forced in some sort of deed restriction, we could control it. But other than that, there's really no way to fully enforce this 20 years from now, 30 years from now when they come in to build a house. So we're going to put it forth as a condition of request that they should, but I don't see how we can make it required unless we want to go as far as deed restrictions. It won't, I don't think it'll be a concern. Again, the plan is to divide this amongst their children, so I don't anticipate more than one house per lot anyway, which would be pretty close to the zoning requirement. I mentioned San Juan Basin, and then we've reviewed this at the Planning Commission. At the Planning Commission, they pointed out there is a ditch easement on the property, and they pointed out that one of the structures, a shed, is in the ditch easement near the southern border of the property. So we've added a condition at the Planning Commission to require them to resolve that conflict, which can be done a variety of ways. The way it's depicted on the map right now, it just says the ditch doesn't exist here anymore. And then why is it depicted? So, and the documents that he used, the surveyor used to put that ditch there, supposedly are not recorded documents. So I need to get those documents, work with them to figure out how we can resolve the conflict of a structure inside of a ditch easement. It can move the shed 10 feet, you can solve it. But exactly how they resolve it is gonna be up to them, but they'll have to do something to clear that up before we can record a Mylar on it. So that's the 5th condition that was added by the planning commission.
Is the ditch still being in use?
It says in the map that it's not, but the concern of the planning commission was they can't just say, well, they're not using this ditch. If there's a ditch there and an easement that's been granted, it has to be resolved some way other than the surveyor says, don't worry, they're not using this anymore.
Right.
So we have to dig into that deeper to find out what's really going on and make sure that we have that all cleared up before we go recording any changes. So that's what we're gonna do. So there are 5 conditions. I mentioned the rezoning to ag estates. The new residential structures should follow the principle of clustering to preserve open space and natural habitat. The applicant must include a depiction of the location of on-site wastewater treatment systems and all the elements thereof on the final Mylar. The applicant must install properly permitted septic systems for any future residential development. That was a requirement of the same one. And then the encroachment resolution must resolve the encroachment of the structure into the depicted ditch easement prior to the recording of the final lot. So with that, those are my recommendations.
The applicant here for response. Okay, commissioners have any questions?
No, sir, I don't have it. Thank you.
All right, we'll open up public comment. Anybody in favor of? Seeing none. Anybody opposed? No public comments. Commissioners have any further comments?
No, sir.
I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Pam, are the residents aware that their property taxes will be changing since it's not gonna be ag no more?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right, that's all.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve PLN 22-131, the Jose and Baltazar Gallegos minor subdivision final plat at 639 County Road 975, with conditions 1 through 5 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we adjourn the land use hearing to convene the liquor board at 1:58. Okay, Jamie Jones, you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is an application for a special events permit for the Pagosa Rotary to sell famous spirituous liquor at 344 Highway 84, Pagosa Springs, Colorado, the CSU Extension Hall. For the Rotary Barn Dance on October 2nd, 2022. The sheriff has been notified of this. What?
22nd.
October 22nd.
Said second.
Yeah,
22nd.
and I think it's supposed to be October 15th. I think I mixed the other one, I'm so sorry. I have another one on the 22nd.
It is the 15th.
It is the 15th, but I do have another on the 22nd, and I think I got them confused.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Yep.
All right.
But the sheriff has been notified, and it was the correct date on that one. The proper fees were collected, and the premises was posted for the required 10 days prior to today's hearing, and the financial impact to the county is fees paid per county fee schedule. Staff recommends approval with the date change.
Great. Thank you. I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would do a special events permit for the Pagosa Rotary for their fundraising event October 15th, 2022, as presented.
Second. Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Okay, on the liquor board consent agenda.
Today, the liquor board consent agenda is item A, consideration and approval of a hotel and restaurant liquor license, renewal for Pamela J. Wallace, DBA, Aspen Springs Bar and Grill. Item B, consideration and approval of a hotel and restaurant liquor license, renewal for Two Chicks and a Hippie, LLC, DBA, Two Chicks and a Hippie.
I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the liquor board consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, adjourn the liquor board and reconvene the regular meeting at 2:01. On to the consent agenda.
Under regular consent agenda today, item A, payable warrants and purchase cards for September 21, 2022 through October 4, 2022. Regular meeting minutes of September 20, 2022. Item C would be consideration of resolution 2022-102 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot, block 17 of amended Aspen Springs subdivision, number 2, owned by Robert Henry Gosden. Item D, consideration of resolution 2022-103 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot, block 5 of Aspen Springs subdivision, number 1, amended, owned by Jordan Rutherford. Item E, consideration of resolution 2022-104 to consolidate 2 lots in 1 lot, Pagosa Meadows, owned by John and Sharita Sowerby. Item F, consideration of resolution 2022-105 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Pager Park subdivision, number 2A, owned by Jared and Josephine Thompson. Item G, consideration of resolution 2022-106 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Pager Park subdivision, number 2A, owned by Jared and Josephine Thompson. Item H, consideration of resolution 2022-107 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Twin Creek Village, owned by Robert D. and Susan M. Ratcliffe. Item I, consideration of resolution 2022-108 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Village Service Commercial, owned by Sundew Revocable Trust. Item J, consideration of resolution 2022-109 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in amended Twin Creek Village, owned by James and Deborah Hepler. Item K, consideration of resolution 2022-110 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Pagosa Meadows Subdivision Unit 4, owned by Kenneth and Christina Martin. Item L, consideration of resolution 2022-111 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Lake Forest Estates, owned by Alexandria and Robert Swan. And item M, consideration and approval of the 2023 county holiday schedule. Item N, consideration and approval of an assignment of hangar ground lease. Item O, consideration and approval of ground lease agreement for hangar 501C. Item P, consideration and approval of ground lease agreement for hangar 501D. Item Q, ratification of the chairman's signature on a memorandum of understanding for the cooperative development of the big game habitat movement route and migration corridor resource management plan amendment. Consent agenda.
Entertain a motion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Old business. Mr. Reader, sorry.
Yes, so before you this afternoon, commissioners, as a declaration of commencement date, this relates to the lease for the new GHS building. In the lease itself, it said that we would sign, the party would sign a declaration and then record it to officially set the beginning of the lease date. And so this declaration meets the requirements of the lease and sets the lease date for the building as October 1, 2022.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
No, thank you.
Maybe just a comment. Now, this building will belong to Archuleta County after 35 years?
Yes, that is correct. So this starts that timeline.
Mm-hmm. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the declaration of commencement date for the DHS building as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, on to new business. Hey, Tina. How you doing?
Good afternoon, I'm good, how are you?
Not
Tina with the Archuleta County Human Resources, here today regarding the Employee of the Month selection. I believe you received the nomination forms last week. Just wondering if you selected a employee.
Who do we have? Looks like this month's gonna be Diana Erica.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Diana Aragon as Archuleta County Employee of the Month for October 2022 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now, item B. That's you again, sorry.
Good afternoon. So we have the consideration and approval for the, amending the personnel policy procedures handbook, for the sick leave, I believe. Is that right? Okay. And the mobile device, policy as well.
Tina, could you go into more detail on the mobile device?
Sure. So the mobile device policy was created, the safety committee has been visiting this situation or this topic for several months now. Talking about mobile devices, distracted driving, and so our current policy does not really go into a lot of detail about using mobile devices while operating county vehicles or driving your own personal vehicle on county business. And so this policy was created in order to be specific as to what a mobile device is, what constitutes operating a mobile device, not being able to use a mobile device unless it's a hands-free feature that can be used while you're using the device. So that's what it's about. It's a safety measure for us. And so the FMCSA and the FTA drivers are subject to other restrictions, but this is for all of the other non-DOT drivers as well.
Absolutely.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you for your work on this. I think it's important. I know that we have had some crashes within the county, and I believe that some of the causational factors have been the use of mobile devices while operating a motor vehicle or equipment. So thank you for your work on this.
Absolutely.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution 2022-102. 112. Excuse me. Thank you. Revising the personnel policy and procedure handbook for county employees to revise the sick leave policy and to add a mobile device policy as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item C. Thank you.
Yes, so before you, for consideration and approval, is a request for a reimbursement. This is from the Fairfield Settlement Fund for backfilling and trenching out in Chris Mountain Village 2 for the Franks. They submitted the proper paperwork, and we have confirmation from LEEA that the number of lots that will be served by the work that they performed. Again, it's exciting to see electricity being extended out in that neighborhood and that houses are being built and finally being developed. So that's a positive sign for this community and for the county. It's great that we have these funds available and able to get this work done. That the neighbors who are doing the work can get reimbursement for at least part of the costs. As a reminder, this was a settlement of bankruptcy, and as the settlement was adopted as a court order, so it's only available for Chris Mountain Village 2, and it's only available for trenching and backfilling. A lot of folks have asked to reimburse for LBEA because of actually laying electricity.
Right.
The settlement does not allow for that, unfortunately. Wish we could, but we can't, because it is a court order settlement. So, ask that approve year, let's see, what is the amount in? $3,503.93 to Kent and Patricia Frank.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
No, thank you.
I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a reimbursement from Fairfield Settlement Fund in the amount of $3,503.93 to Patricia Frank for trenching and backfilling 4 lots in Chris Mountain Village number 2 as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item D.
Again, this is another reimbursement, the exact same thing, almost exact. This serves 6 lots, and it's a disbursement, a reimbursement amount of $4,000, $4,395 to Aaron Zach for trenching and back.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a reimbursement from the Fairfield Settlement Fund in the amount of $4,395 to Aaron Zach for trenching and backfilling 6 lots in Chris Mountain Village 2 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. To item E. Also, Mr. Reader.
Me again, yes. So before you for your consideration this afternoon, resolution is, what number?
113.
113. So this is a resolution in support of the ballot measure for the 1.5% sales tax increase. Under the Colorado Fair Campaign Practices Act, the board is allowed to adopt a resolution in support of the ballot measure as it would normally adopt any resolution in a regular meeting, and then distribute that resolution as it would any other resolution to news outlets, etc. So this resolution is that type of resolution in support of the sales tax increase ballot measure, and that is before you for your consideration and approval.
Okay, any questions or comments?
The lawfulness of this, are we in correct form with the law?
Yes, the resolution, yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything?
No, sir, thank you.
Good motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution 2022-113 in support of the referred ballot measure for a 1.5% sales tax increase on the November 8th, 2022 general election ballot as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you. All right, I entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I move to go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 246402 subsection 4B for the purpose of the board receiving legal advice on specific legal questions and pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 246402 subsection 4E to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategies for negotiations, and instructing negotiators, all in regard to the possible dissolution of the San Juan Basin Public Health Department.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Commissioner Schaaf, Maez, Brown, and County Manager Derek Woodman, County Attorney Todd Weaver will be going into executive session. Recess regular session at 2:14. No decision will be made in the executive session.